be a screw, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to Cypherfics. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the fourth part of, What If Issei, Rias meet Uchiha. Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of Liquid's wrath on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Kokabeel moved his eyes away from the two high-class devils and looked at Rainier and Calawarner. It seems that you two are failures to me and Azazel. The two Fallens lowered their head down in shame. But, I can forgive you if you kill both the Gremory and Citri. Kokabeel tried to convince them. Rainier looked back up at him. Sorry, but we no longer are a part of the Gregory anymore. We serve someone else entirely. Ha 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 ha, don't be a fool ladies. There is no one out there that will take two low-life Fallens like yourselves. Rainier smiled. But you see, someone already did Kokabeel. Soon your life will cease to exist, and we will be the ones laughing. Oh, and where is this person then? I would like to meet this person you speak of. He will come soon. I hope. It doesn't matter at this point. I will destroy you all with that school of yours as well. Kokabeel flew towards Kuo with extreme speed. Fried licked the sword he was holding, and he looked at all of them. I guess I'm going as well. Fried ran in the woods making his way to the school. We can't let them hurt the students, Rias said. Then we should go, Calawarner said as she ran towards the school with Rainier. Rias and Sona followed them with their peerage behind in tow. They reached the school and they saw Kokabeel sitting on a chair in the air. It seems you arrived, but I think you're a little late to the party. All of them looked to the side and saw a few students on the floor unconscious. Sona put up a magic barrier with the rest of her peerage. Kaneko, take these students to a safe place, Rias ordered. Kaneko nodded, and she took the students to a safe place. Kokabeel rested his head on his fist. Shall we begin the fun Gremory? Then I will let you play with my pet. He snapped his fingers and a magic circle appeared below him. A three-headed dog stepped out of the magic circle and roared. What the hell is that? Issei yelled. Cerebus, these beasts are also known as guard dogs of hell, Rias said. What are we going to do? Asia asked. We're gonna kill it. But we all need to work together if you don't want to die. Calawarner said. Issei summoned his boosted gear. Yo partner. You got any ideas? Well, I would probably start with cutting off its head so it would lose visibility, then go in for the kill. Not a bad plan. Go ahead and start combining the swords now Valpur, Kokabeel said. Valpur smiled at that and pulled out 3 holy swords and started to fuse them. Kiba saw this, and he made his way towards him. Kiba. Rias yelled but he didn't respond. Zenobia and Irina went with Kiba. I will go as well, Rainier announced as she flew over to Valpur's position. Kiba summoned his sword and tried to cut him but Fried stepped in stopping his attack. Shall we pick up where we left off? Kiba clenched his teeth. Zenobia charged in and tried to attack Fried but the both of them got pushed back. Irina. Zenobia yelled out making her turn towards her. She threw her sword at her making her catch it. Zenobia stuck her hand in the air, and she started to pull out a sword that had chains all over it. She pulled it out and the chains were gone. Now, let's see how you do against Durandal. She charged again and struck her sword against Fried's making him fall to a knee. Rias and Aquino were blasting the dog with full power but it didn't do anything. Rias, we better do something or we will be his next meal, Aquino said. Hey partner, why don't you transfer your power over to Aquino and Rias? It should help them against that hell dog. Not a bad idea. Issei ran over to Aquino and Rias. He touched Aquino and gave her some power. Transfer. He touched Rias and transferred some of his power to her. Transfer. Both Aquino and Rias felt the power flowing through them. Aquino moved her hand in front of her and blasted the dog with full power, making the dog not able to move. Good work, Aquino. Rias charged up her attack and blasted the far left head of the dog, leaving only 2 heads of the dog. So it seems that boy is the Red Dragon Emperor of this generation. How amusing, Kokabeel said. Fried was behind Valper trying to maintain a magic shield in front of Valper. It's complete. Now Fried, give me that sword and the power of 4 holy swords will destroy them all. Fried smiled at this. He put down the magic shield and slowly walked towards Valper. It's all over for you devils. You all don't stand a chance. Valper said. Fried raised his sword and stabbed Valper through the back. Everyone was shocked at what they were seeing except everyone in Madara's group. Valper spat out a lot of BLD, what are you doing? Sorry, you fat F, but I don't take orders from you. I really hated taking orders from you in general. Always do that, always do this. It was starting to really piss me off. B, but what about the holy S swords then? Valper asked. Oh that, I was just working with you so I can collect these swords from you fat F. My boss needs these swords, so yeah. What are you doing, Fried? Why have you betrayed me? Kokabeel asked. Like I said man, I got a new boss. And now, I have fulfilled my duty. Fried moved the sword upwards, cutting Valper in half. Damn you, Fried dash. Fried walked over towards the swords. It's about DMN time you returned, Calawarner said with a smile. I would have preferred if you didn't come back, Rainier said. Wait, you're telling me that those attacks he did, stealing those swords, and working with Kokabeel and Valper was all a lie from the get-go? Yep, Fried works with our MSTR. There is no way in hell that he would be working with these people. Rainier said. This doesn't make any sense. Who do you work for? Zenobia asked. Well, that's enough of that. It's time for me to collect the weapon that the boss asked for. Fried took his holy sword and combined it with the 3 other swords, making a huge bright light, making everyone look away. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha, I did it. I have 4 swords now instead of 1. What an accomplishment. Fried grabbed the hilt of the sword and felt the power surging through him. Oh, I am so masturbating tonight. Everyone had a disgusted look on their faces. Fried, you're a nasty piece of SHT, you know that. Rainier tried to confirm this with Fried, but he ignored her. Kokabeel gritted his teeth. DMNU Fried. He stood up from his chair and flew down to the ground in front of his hell dog. I will kill you myself. Fried appeared behind Kokabeel with extreme speed. Why yo dash, Kokabeel felt his stomach get cut. Fried was smiling at this. Oh, how I waited for this moment. He cut him again. Kokabeel clenched his fist as strong as he could, and he flew up into the air. I will kill you all. He made a light spear and it slowly became bigger and bigger. Ha ha ha, now let's see you block this. What are we going to do now? Aquino asked. Everyone was scared. They couldn't do anything. It seems that you all are having fun here, Madara said as he was holding his bag of ramen. Everyone in Madara's group looked at their MSTR/boss and was surprised to see him here. All of them ran to him and kneeled before him. I have retrieved the weapon for you, boss. Fried held up the holy sword he was holding. We have learned some valuable information as well, my lord, Rainier said. Then why is it taking you so long to return? They all looked at Kokabeel. Madara saw this and he looked up in the sky to see a man with 10 wings and a huge light spear in his hands. Who is that? And why are they kneeling in front of him? Irina asked. No, the question is why are they kneeling to a human? Zenobia said. That's Mr. Uchiha, he is one of our teachers here at Kuo, Kiba said with narrowed eyes. Uchiha? Why are they all kneeling to a teacher? It doesn't make any sense at all. Kiba put away his sword. Well, the reason why they all are kneeling is that they all fear him since he killed Riser Phoenix and most of his peerage with no remorse. Wait, he killed Riser? Irina asked. Kiba nodded his head. But that's not all, he calls himself a god. Some people believe that he actually is one and some believe that he is a human with big dreams. How many people know of him? Zenobia asked. Most of the underworld and some higher-ups in the fallen and angels. Zenobia didn't say any more so she looked at the man who appeared. Oh, what do we have here? A new fighter has come to challenge me. You're already too late to the party since I will destroy everyone here. Kokabeel said. Hold this. Madara handed the bag to Kalawarner, and he walked past them. Madara slowly started to walk towards him. Kill him Cerebus, Kokabeel ordered. The dog charged at Madara but he only kept on walking towards it. Madara's eyes turned to the Sharingan and it started to spin turning into the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. He formed the ribcage of the Susanoo around him and made an arm with a blade on the right side. The dog charged at him and was going for a bite, but Madara cut the dog right in half surprising everyone at how easily he killed it. Madara stopped and looked at Kokabeel. You think you can stop me? Then block this. He threw the spear down at him. Madara formed another arm on his left side. The blade disappeared in the Susanoo's hand. The spear was about to hit him, but the Susanoo caught the spear before it was going to hit him. Kokabeel smiled at this. Good catch, but how good are you at protecting yourself from explosions? The spear started to glow. Heh heh heh, you little devil. Madara chuckled. The spear blew up causing a huge explosion in the process. The girls had to hold down their skirts because of the massive wind. Issei was staring at the underwear that they were wearing. UF dumbass. You're staring at chicks' underwear at a time like this? Hey, you gotta enjoy the moment you know. Enjoy the moment my butt. We're here fighting a cadre class fallen angel and you're trying to enjoy the moment. What the F partner? What's wrong with that? Why of all people have I become partners with a god DMN fool? You killing Cerebus was luck, but you surviving this is very low, Kokabeel said with a smirk. And here I thought he was actually something. Zenobia said. Now, it's time to get rid of you all, Kokabeel said. As he was going to make another light spear a huge humanoid creature appeared out of the smoke. What the hell? Kokabeel said. Rias and everyone else was scared and shocked to see that creature back again. Kokabeel was surprised to see him still standing. How are you even alive? Madara was standing in the same spot with his arms crossed, he had a smirk on his face. Let us begin our dance recital. How are you even alive? I am a god. Do you honestly think that a little explosion will stop me? Kokabeel laughed at the little title he gave himself. Do you honestly think you're a god? Let me tell you something. God is dead. Everyone was shocked to hear except Madara. You're joking, right? Rainier asked just to make sure she heard right. No, I am not joking, you traitor. He and the 4 original Satans died during the war. No, this can't be. Asia started to form tears in her eyes. I will not accept this at all, Kokabeel. Zenobia yelled with anger. Why are you all crying? Do you all honestly think God is dead? I think you all forgot something. I'm still here. The Susanoo moved his right hand out and a blade formed in it. He raised its arm up and brought it down, cutting off Kokobeel's right arm. Kokobeel went in for a punch, but he only put a small crack in the Susanoo. The Susanoo grabbed Kokobeel and slammed him to the ground with full power. He tried to get up, but the Susanoo stabbed him right in the stomach. Aw! He spat out blood. Madara slowly started to walk towards him. The Susanoo disappeared, and Madara was standing in front of him, staring down at him with a piercing, deadly stare. Ugly, you cannot even dance anymore. Who are you? I am Madara Uchiha. Kokobeel's eyes went wide at hearing that. I will change this world from the ground up. I will become the Messiah of this world. But, you won't live to see it. That is enough, leave him to me. A man said, wearing white armor. Madara looked up at the newcomer. Who are you? I am the White Dragon Emperor, I am here for him. He pointed towards Kokobeel. It's the White One, partner, I wasn't expecting him to appear so soon. Issei looked at his rival with narrowed eyes. Sorry, but he will burn for all eternity, Madara said nonchalantly. And why do you say that? He will be sealed away forever. Madara smiled at this. This is why. Madara looked at Kokobeel, and he closed his eyes, then he opened up his left eye, making blood go down his cheek. Amaterasu, a black flame hit Kokobeel, making him scream in pain and horror. Ah, put it out, put it out. Ah. Madara closed his left eye. He looked back at the newcomer. You will regret that. He was about to fly down and start a fight with Madara, but Surzex appeared. I think that's enough, for now, White Dragon Emperor, Surzex said. Very well then, Devil King. He looked towards Issei. I am looking forward to our fight, Red Dragon Emperor. He flew off with extreme speeds. Surzex walked up to Madara. I thank you for this, but if you touch Rias at all I will erase you from existence. Madara turned around and started to walk away from him. I wouldn't speak to a god like that. Madara walked towards his group. Madara's eyes turned back to normal. You're bleeding, my lord, Kalawarner said with worry. It is nothing to worry about. It is a downfall when I use the black flames. Wait, you're telling me that your eye bleeds when you use that power? Issei asked. Madara nodded. He will burn for all eternity, let us go now. Madara was about to leave, but Zenovia stopped him. You're not going anywhere unless you hand that holy sword over. Prove to me you are a better dancer, then I will gladly hand this sword over. Until then, you are nothing more than a mere woman who can't defend herself. Madara didn't say any more to her. He started to walk past her, but she grabbed his arm. Fried pulled her hand away from him. Nobody touches the boss. You think you can just talk smack and walk away, huh? I don't think so, Mr. Uchiha. Madara walked past Fried. He stood in front of Zenovia. He pointed behind her, making her look at what he was pointing. As she did that, Madara hit her in the back of the neck. D-A-M-N-Y-O-U. Zenovia said before passing out. Irina ran up to Zenovia. You should maybe put a leash on her since she isn't fully tamed yet, Madara said as he walked away from the both of them. Now, let us begin our journey to a world of peace, Madara said. Scene break. After everything settled down, they teleported Kokobeel's burning body to the underworld. They couldn't extinguish the flame, so they sent his body to the pits of hell itself. The magic barrier came down and everything was back to normal. They were all back in the clubroom. Sorry I couldn't arrive sooner. Surzex apologized. Don't worry about it, brother. Surzex's face turned serious. We must worry because Madara has 4 holy swords in his possession. I do not know what he is planning, we need to retrieve those swords from him as fast as possible. I don't know anymore, I think we should leave him alone, Rias said. Surzex looked at his sister as if she is crazy. I will not allow that, Rias. He is too dangerous to leave alone. Rias didn't say anything else. And besides, he killed Riser Phoenix, a high-class devil, and a cadre-class fallen angel. Soon he might go after the leaders of the factions. Why do you say that, my lord? Aquino asked. He will do something, I promise you that. But the question is what? All we know about him is he works at the school, and he has servants that do his bidding. There has to be a weakness to him. I might have found a solution to stopping him, Ajuka said, appearing behind them. Ajuka? What are you doing here? Surzex asked. To give you an answer to Madara's weakness. Surzex had a surprised look. I think that if we remove his eyes his powers go away. You see, when he summoned that blue creature his eyes changed into a weird pattern. Here, take a look at what I mean. He handed him a tablet of the match he had with Riser. You're saying we take away his eyes, then he will be powerless? Bingo, but the problem now is how are we going to remove his eyes? Ajuka asked. You can't just take someone's eyes away, brother. He hasn't done anything to us to deserve this. Rias said. He is too dangerous, Rias. He has 4 holy swords, the Red Dragon Emperor, on his side, and to make it all worse he could be working for the Fallens. He clearly said that he doesn't work for anyone, Rias said with little anger. He could be lying to us, Rias. What if he finds the other holy swords and forces heaven to work for him? That is why we are going to take action. Rias lowered her head down. Aquino saw this, and she spoke up for her. Lord Lucifer, Lord Beelzebub, should we wait first to see what he does before taking action? The both of them stayed quiet. Besides, if you attack now you could fall into a trap, Aquino said. Surzex brought a hand to his chin. All right then, we will wait until he does something. But when he does, we are going after him. Surzex said. Rias looked up at her brother with a happy face. Don't get too happy now, Rias. Now the strong part begins now. Surzex said as he looked out the window. Scene break. Madara was sitting in his chair reading while everyone else was getting ready for step 2 of the plan. Lord Madara, why did you come to us? You said this was our mission. Rainier asked. You were taking too long, so I had to finish what you started, Madara said nonchalantly. Are you not worried? Calawarner asked. Worried? No, what is there to worry about? He said, not looking away from the book. You killed a leader class, fallen angel, like it was nothing. You could have a bounty on you. Fried said. Let them come then, they will only be in the way for our goal. All of them sighed at this. So what's step 2, my lord? Rainier asked. Madara put down his book on the table beside him. We go to Kyoto. Everyone looked surprised to hear that from him. Why are we going there? The only thing I can think of being there is the 9-tie dash. Calawarner's eyes went wide. Don't tell me, we are going to see the leader of the Yukai faction? Rainier asked. Madara smiled at this. You are right, we will meet the 9-tailed fox. Why are we going there? Does she have something that we need? Asia asked. She has the gate to the dimensional gap, and we could convince her to join us, Madara said. Where did you get this information from when we were gone? Fried asked. A man named Azazel. The 2 Fallens fell to the floor at what they just heard. Why did you go speak to the leader of the fallen angels? Calawarner asked. It doesn't matter, I think I can trust him to keep a secret or 2. When are we leaving, boss? Fried asked with a smile. Next week, I guess we can make it a field trip to Kyoto. I have a question. Issei asked, making Madara look at him with a death glare. How will we find this 9-tailed fox? Also, what are we going to do if we find this fox? Leave that to me, but in the meantime, let us catch some rest before we do anything. Everyone stood up and headed towards their room except Issei and Fried. Boy, go home to your parents since I do not have anything for you to do. Issei did as he was told and left Madara's apartment. The two fallen angels stripped their clothes off except for their underwear. They both turned off the lamps, and they slowly drifted off to sleep. What, no complaining this time. Shut it, Calawarner, before I do it for you, Rainier said with an annoyed tone. Calawarner laughed at her little outburst. Yeah, just doesn't embarrass yourself too much now, Calawarner said as she closed her eyes. I swear I'm gonna kill you one day. Rainier whispered. The next morning came around and both Fallens were the first to wake up. They both stretched out their muscles after their cozy sleep. The both of them got out of bed and they started to get dressed. Geez, Calawarner, just how much bigger do you plan on getting? Rainier asked. Calawarner looked over at Rainier. She narrowed her eyes seductively. Ah, is little Rainier starting to get jealous? Rainier clenched her fist next to her head. I am going to kill you, Calawarner, that is a promise. Calawarner just laughed at her little outrage. They got dressed and they headed out into the living room. We better be quiet so we don't wake anyone up, Rainier whispered. As they reached the living room they both jumped from seeing Madara sitting in that chair reading that same book. I forgot you don't sleep since we might get attacked, Rainier said. Oh, please Mr. Holy Sword, don't stick that there, Fried said in his sleep. Rainier looked over at Fried and saw he was cuddling with the holy sword he took. You disgusting piece of SHT. Calawarner laughed at this. What is wrong with him? Rainier asked with disgust. I don't know, and I don't care. He's been doing this the entire night, so don't ask me. Madara said casually. Rainier face-bombed herself. Oh, where's the failure at? I told him to go home. Rainier just shrugged her shoulders at this. Let me guess, my lord. Your next words are going to be wake up Asia and get ready for school. Impressive, you're getting the hang of it now, Madara said as he closed his book and stood up from his seat. Rainier went over to go wake up Asia from her slumber. After she did that, she went back to the living room and woke up Fried. They all got ready and left for school. After a long walk, they reached the school grounds and entered the building. Madara and his group were in the classroom. Calawarner and everyone were on the side of the classroom sitting down and listening to their MSTR do his job. Madara was taking attendance as this new life of his was different. It was somewhat peaceful to living an ordinary life like this, but deep down, there was just something off about this life he was enjoying. Before he could dive deeper into this, he noticed that someone was missing. It seems that Hayadu is late again. As he said this, the doors opened up where Issei stepped in. Madara looked over at Issei with an intimidating expression. Sorry, I'm late. He said as he scratched the back of his head nervously. Go sit down, you failure, Rainier said with a little attitude. Now, that everyone is here, let me make an announcement. We are going to Kyoto next week, so be prepared. I don't want anyone complaining that you haven't packed everything for the trip. The whole class cheered at this. W.O., you are a cool teacher, Mr. Uchiha. A male student yelled. Madara just had a serious expression through all this. Issei was confused for a second until it clicked into him. Oh, SHT. We're gonna go see the nine-tailed F-. Rainier punched him in the gut. You fool. Can't you keep quiet about some stuff? Ms. Rainier? Was that necessary? Murayama asked. Of course it was. He was talking without permission. So I had to take action. Rainier smiled as she said this to her. Murayama didn't say any more. Are there any questions? Madara asked. No one raised their hands nor said anything. Good, Calawarner, you take over now. He said as he walked out of the class. Madara headed towards the school courtyard to have some peace. As he reached the courtyard, he sat down on a bench. A lovely day, isn't it? A voice was heard behind him. Madara didn't turn around in his seat. What do you want, Devil King? Surzex walked over to him and sat down beside him. Well, Madara, I wanted to have a chat with you, to be frankly honest. There is nothing to talk about. And if you're wondering about your little sister, don't even worry about it. I didn't even touch a single strand of hair on her. I know you didn't. I haven't come for that. I came here to discuss to you about the holy swords you took. Madara smirked at this. It's my property now. Actually, Madara, it's not. It belongs to the church and you have to return it. You don't have a choice in the matter. Surzex said with a serious tone. Let me ask you this, devil. If I haven't arrived to stop that man, what would have happened to your precious little sister? Madara asked as he looked out in the distance. She would have got heavily injured or even killed. Well, I saved her life, so you wouldn't have to be weeping at her grave every DMN time. Do you think as a reward for saving your little sister, I get to keep the holy swords? No, that isn't even possible. I can't give you a dangerous weapon to keep. I can offer money, women, or something else. You having the holy swords isn't the best option for anyone. I don't need money that's from a devil, nor do I want women from you either. All I want is peace in this world. A life where everyone could live amongst each other without thinking that they are better than the other. A equal transactional agreement where everyone can be seen the same. But every time I dream of such a world, my thoughts always drift towards your hideous kind. Peace. How would you, a human, obtain such a thing? Surzex wondered. You will see in the near future. I will destroy the evil in this world, and I will rebuild everything from the ground up. Madara declared. That isn't possible at all. To obtain ultimate peace, you must either have the leaders of all the factions join you or accept you. No leader in this world will join you to obtain peace. Every leader in this world and next all longing power. But you see, Devil King. There is a way to obtain peace. Surzex looked over at Madara with a confused look. To obtain peace, you must have everyone follow you, look up to you, and show them that you will save them from pain, hurt, and suffering. You must gather the trust of the people first to obtain peace. All I see in this cursed world is you angels, devils, and fallens taking humans to fight for your little battles. And for that sole reason, you will all fall. That is a promise I can say for sure. Tell me, Madara, why did you even bother getting yourself involved in this battle of ours? I don't know. I should be rotting in hell right now for all I know. Rotting in hell? What do you mean? Madara smiled. It doesn't matter at this point anymore. All I know is that I have a mission that I must complete before I die. Madara said with a smile. I can have you arrested, or even killed, you know. Ha ha ha, are you talking to a god like that? You must be digging your grave even deeper then. Surzex turned his expression to a serious look. You are not a god. You will never even become one, and besides, some beings are much stronger and have more connections than you and I. Then I will show them the power of a god. Even if I have to destroy all of hell or even heaven itself, I will show this world my power. I will have to kill you then. Madara stood up and walked away from him a bit. Then, so be it. Madara activated his Sharingan, and he turned around to look at Surzex. Surzex saw this and he stood up as well. You already lost. You will experience everything I just said earlier. Pain, hurt, and suffering. Madara said with a small smirk. Surzex raised his hand and charged up his attack. As it was fully charged, he blasted him in the chest, making a hole in him. Madara fell on his back. He had a small puddle of blood around his body. Surzex walked up to Madara's body and stood right over him. As I said before, you are no god. You can never achieve true P-. Surzex blinked and saw Rias where Madara's body was. Surzex had wide eyes. Rias? What are you doing? He said as he kneeled beside her. Rias slowly opened her eyes and looked at her brother. Rias? Speak to MEPL please. Why did you do that? I loved you and this is how you treat me back. And no. I was aiming at Madara. I hate you, Rias said as her eyes closed. Surzex tried shaking her to wake up, but nothing happened. I told you not to talk down on a god, but you just didn't listen. That is why you're on the ground now weeping over your precious little sister. Madara said behind him. Surzex turned around and blasted him again, but he didn't realize that Grafia was standing behind him. The blast hit her, killing her instantly. No, what have I done? Madara appeared behind him again. Are you that determined to kill me? You killed both your sister and wife in the process. Now, who is next? Surzex turned around but he didn't see anyone, so he turned back around just to get his neck into a tight grip. You think you can kill a god? Don't be a fool. Surzex was trying to get out of his grip, but he just couldn't. Surzex blinked again but he saw his father standing in front of him choking him out. You are no son of mine. You failed me for the last time, boy. You killed your wife and sister. Surzex only looked at his father with sorrowful eyes. As his father was gonna say something, he got stabbed in the back, making Surzex fall to the floor. Madara stood over him and gave Surzex a piercing glare. What do you want? Just tell me. Madara smirked and he turned around and started to walk away. If you think you can kill me, then you're in for a world of surprise, devil. Who are you? I am, Madara Uchiha, I will become the savior of this world. Remember this, devil, I am not your equal nor am I below you. I am far above you and everyone else in this world who deem themselves as gods, angels, devils, and any other creature that uses human lives as cattle to progress their own status in life. I want to sever the fate of this world. A world of only victors. A world of only peace. A world of only love. I will create such a world. For truly this reality is a hell. Madara's genjutsu vanished and it was back to normal. His eyes turned back to black. Surzex fell to a knee after that. His face was covered in sweat before most of it was going down his face. He looked up to see Madara standing before him. He looked around and saw there was no Rias, no Grafia, and his father was not there either. What was that? He asked, but the school bell rang. Ugly, don't go dying on me just yet, devil, Madara said as he walked towards the gate of the school. Madara's group came out of the entrance and started to walk back home. Surzex stood up and started to walk towards the ORC. As he was walking back, he stopped at the corner of the building before grabbing his throat. It felt so real. He thought. He looked behind him, but as he did that, his throat was grabbed again. I forgot to tell you. I can easily kill your precious sister with ease, but I won't because I want to tell you one last thing that I do hope will stick with you until the end of time itself. How did you get here so fast? Don't worry about that. Just remember what I'm going to say. If you speak to me like that ever again, I will make sure that you will be weeping forever. You being a king doesn't mean that you're above me. Keep this act up, then I will have to show just what true pain and hatred really is. A life of eternal pain where the only love that will exist for you will be in your memories. Madara's clone disappeared, leaving Surzex to think about what he just saw and heard. Scene break. Rias was sitting in her chair with her hands on top of her head. She was a little frustrated since open house is in 2 weeks from now. She was worried since her mother and father were coming. I don't want to go to open house since my brother will be coming along with both my parents. Aquino smiled at this. There's nothing to worry about, Rias. It will be fine, I promise. Aquino reassured her. Rias let out a big sigh. Well, I hope you're rigged. The doors to the clubroom opened up and Surzex walked in, sweating all over his face. Rias stood up from her seat and ran over to him. As she got to him she was brought into a huge hug. "Thank the devil that you are not hurt," Cypherfics said with small tears in his eyes. Rias was confused about what was going on. "Is everything alright, brother?" "Everything is fine, I just wanted to see if you were alright." "I'm fine, why are you sweating this much? Did you exercise or something?" Cypherfics shook his head. "No, it's just the weather outside." Rias shrugged her shoulders. "So, did you come to tell me some news?" Cypherfics got a little serious with her. "Look, in 2 weeks, it's open house. At the same time of open house, there will be a leaders' summit here at this school to discuss peace between the factions." Rias was surprised to hear that. "What? Why here of all the places?" "I guess you can call this a neutral zone between the factions since it's a school and anyone is welcome," Cypherfics said with a smile. Rias walked back over to her seat and sat down. She placed her head down on the desk. "Why is everything going so bad for me?" she said in a muffled voice. Cypherfics smiled and was about to leave, but he just remembered something. "Oh, I forgot to mention. Make sure you relay this message to Madara so he can attend this meeting," he said as he teleported to the underworld. Rias stood there with a confused face. "Why do I have to relay this message to him?" The doors opened up again, but this time Zenovia walked in wearing Kuo clothing. "Sorry about that, I had to give the holy sword back to Irina." "Don't worry about it," Rias said. "So, what's my role now? Like what do I do now as a devil?" Zenovia asked. "You can do anything you want just when I have a mission. I expect everyone here, except someone I know." "And who may this person be?" Rias waved her hands in front of her. "Don't worry about it. I'm sure that he will return someday." "What's my first assignment?" Rias brought out a huge stack of papers. "For now, I want you to go out and pass out flyers from door to door." Zenovia nodded and she picked up the stack of papers and left the clubroom. Rias sighed and leaned back against her chair. "Akino, where does Mr. Uchiha live?" "Era is, aren't you getting a little bit bold now?" Rias's cheeks turned red a little bit. "I am not," she yelled in embarrassment. Akino giggled and went to go find the files on Madara Uchiha. Scene break. Rainier and Calawarner were both taking a bath since no one else wanted to use the shower first. Rainier got comfortable in the bathtub nearly enough to make her pass out. "So Rainier, how badly do you want to F the MSTR?" Calawarner blurted out randomly with a stuck grin. Rainier's back slid down and her entire torso went underwater. After a few seconds, she went up for air. "What kind of question is that, Blueberry? Don't get me wrong here, Rainier. I see it in your eyes at how much you want him. You want to feel his body against yours. Just shut up, okay?" Rainier was blushing madly. But let's not even forget the big important part. I bet you want to start a family with Rainier splashed some water over Calawarner's face, making her not finish the last part of her sentence. I will not do such a thing with the MSTR, unless he asks." She whispered the last part. "What was that? Can you repeat that?" "I said nothing, okay." "Well, that's too bad since I don't mind starting a family with the MSTR." Rainier looked over at her with a crazy look in her eyes. Rainier opened her mouth to say something but nothing came out. "What's the matter, Rainier? Are you mad that I am taking the initiative? Of course you would go do something like that. You did this with every man you came across. You're a SLT Calawarner and you can't deny that at all." Rainier tried to make her back off. "That is true that I dated every rich guy out there, but not once have I slept with anyone. I'm no SLT, Rainier, trust me," Calawarner said as she didn't want to lose this battle with her. "I don't believe one word that comes out of your mouth, Beach. You want to shove those fingers in here then and find out?" Calawarner spread her legs wide in front of her. Have you lost it or something? Why would I do such a thing in the first place? Let alone with another woman. Rainier tried to make her stop. You asked, so why don't you come here and see for yourself? On the other side of the door, Issei had one ear against the door hearing everything they're talking about. Oh man, we might hear some girl-on-girl action in there. What are you? I'm not gonna even bother asking at this point. Come on man, your ears are gonna love the sound of this. What the F man? Just why in the world of hell are you listening to chicks talking about fingering each other? You're telling me you don't like a girl-on-girl action? No, I do not. What? Every guy out there loves that SHT man. No, you need to practice for your fight with the white one, not listening to chicks goy. This is crucial to my research. Research to what? Madara entered his home and walked over to Issei. Issei saw another shadow below him, so he slowly turned around. Sorry my lord, I dropped something, so I was looking for it. Madara only looked down on him. Move. That was all he said, making Issei scoot away from the bathroom. He opened the door and walked in. He wasn't surprised nor embarrassed at the scene before him. Am I lord? What are you doing here? Rainier asked in a surprised voice. The door was unlocked the whole time. Issei said as passed out on the floor. I needed to use the restroom, but it seems that you ladies have taken the bathroom and forgot to lock the door from the beginning when you walked in here. He said nonchalantly. Rainier looked over at Calawarner with an angry face. She had a huge grin on her face. Calawarner stood up and walked over to Madara in a stuck way. What are you doing? Rainier asked. Calawarner ignored her and she wrapped her arms behind Madara's neck. So MSTR. How about I show you a whole new world in the bedroom? She pressed her tips against his chest. The time for SXL activities is not now. Get dressed quickly. I have found some reliable information and maybe even a potential ally to help us out in the near future. He left the restroom, leaving the Fallens alone. Calawarner sighed. He's a tough one to crack. She and Rainier cleaned themselves up and got dressed. I will not let you corrupt him in lust. Calawarner smirked. We will see about that, Rainier. Everyone gathered up in the living room waiting for Madara to tell them this information he found and potential ally. What's the big news, my lord? Calawarner asked. I have found a stray on my way home and nearly killed it, but it gave some valuable information. So I interrogated it, and apparently on a night of a full moon, there is a special forest where devils going to get familiars. What about it? I have heard that there is a familiar that is powerful. She is one of the 5 great dragon kings. She is known as the Chaos Karma Dragon. Everyone's eyes went wide except for Issei's. We leave tomorrow to find this dragon, Madara said. Shit. What's the wrong partner? Everything is going horribly wrong. My partner is a goddamn dumbass. I have to live with a fool who is probably about to die from the white one, and I have to go see her. Just kill yourself, partner, let me find someone else. What? Why? Enough, be prepared for tomorrow since it will be a tough one to get by. You will need all the rest you can get. Madara said as he went to sleep for the first time in a long time. Time to go to bed as well, Calawarner said as she went to her room with Rainier. I'm gonna hit the sack, Fried said. Issei was standing in the middle of the living room and not saying a single word. Hey partner. Yeah. What's up Drake? Madara slowly woke up from his slumber and looked over at his alarm clock. He read the alarm and saw that it was 6 o'clock. As he was about to get up, he felt something holding him down. He looked over to his right and saw something under the covers. He moved his arm and uncovered the thing that was holding him down. When he did that, he saw Rainier asleep and was holding onto his arm between her tips with all her might. Madara had a nonchalant look at what was transpiring in his bed. Kalawarner slowly crawled up Madara's chest and got closer to him. Madara looked over at her. "What are you both doing in my bed without me agreeing to it or wearing any type of shirt or br?" he asked in an agitated voice. Kalawarner smirked seductively. "You see, my lord, this was all Rainier's idea. She wanted to take this opportunity to sleep next to the MSTR since you barely sleep, so I couldn't have her taking the lead in this war between her and me." "How silly, but the both of you amuse me in a way that I cannot explain," Madara said as he got out of Rainier's grip. "You know, I'm even more surprised that you're so well composed under this situation. Any man would be embarrassed from seeing tips or they would try and take us on here and now, but you didn't react at all." "I must know your secret?" Kalawarner asked with surprise. "If you want to know my secret, then you will just have to keep observing me in order to find that answer." Kalawarner smirked again seductively. "I'll take on this challenge of yours, my lord." Madara sat up, making Kalawarner get off his chest. He got off his bed and got ready for today since it's gonna be a long one. "Make sure to be ready for today since we're gonna go see that dragon tonight," Madara said as he stepped out towards the living room. Kalawarner was about to get off the bed and get dressed, but she was grabbed by Rainier and pulled into a tight grip. Their faces were a few inches away from each other. "Please MSTR, touch me there. You want to embrace as well?" Rainier spoke in her sleep. Kalawarner gave her a weird look. She tried to get out of her grip, but Rainier brought her face closer and closer until their lips were a centimeter away. Kalawarner used her free hand and pushed Rainier's forehead away. "Wake up SLT. I'm not the DMN MSTR." She yelled in anger, making Rainier wake up quickly. "What the hell are you doing in Master's bed?" she asked. "Why are you trying to make out with me?" Kalawarner countered. Rainier looked at where her arms were and immediately pulled away from her. "What the hell, Kalawarner? Why didn't you wake me up earlier? And where is the MSTR?" Kalawarner got away from Rainier and got off the bed to get dressed. "He's in the living room as usual. I thought you would know that by now." Rainier got off the bed as well and got dressed, but as she was getting dressed, she just remembered what they have to do today. "SHT Kalawarner, we have to go see Tiamat tonight, don't we?" Kalawarner sighed heavily. "Yeah, you know the MSTR all right. He wants to find more allies to help him out on his journey to bring peace into this world," Kalawarner said with her head down while smiling. "Are you ladies done getting dressed? Cause the boss has something to say to all of us," Fried said with no patience. "I should kill you right now, Fried," Rainier said with anger. "We get it, Rainier, that you want the boss's PP inside of you, so stop stalling and hurry up," Fried said. Rainier had a mad blush on her face. "I am gonna kill you, Fried." Rainier formed a light spear and was about to throw it, but Madara's clone grabbed her arm, making her spear go away. "No fighting in my home," he said casually as the clone disappeared. Rainier and Kalawarner got fully dressed and stepped out into the living room with the rest of the group. All of them were standing in front of Madara. "Now, tonight will be a little more challenging for all of you since we're going to go see a dragon in this forest." Madara looked over at Issei. "What do you know about this Dragon King Red Dragon?" he asked. "To answer your question, sir, she is the strongest Dragon King out of all of them. She has a huge grudge against me, so if she finds out this dumbass is holding me, then I'm screwed." "Interesting, then we will use you as bait, so we can draw her out," Madara said. "Wah! That's a smart plan, my lord. We can draw her out more quickly so that we don't have to search for her all day," Kalawarner said. "I do not like this plan at all. Can we change it?" Issei asked. "Yeah, I agree with him as well. The plan is settled and we're not changing it whatsoever," Madara said. "I told you, partner, we're so F. What will the devils think then?" Rainier asked. "Let them think whatever they want. I'm not gonna let some lousy girl stop me and my plans." If we could have that dragon join us, then we will become even stronger. Freed had a hand on his chin. I've heard that she has some connections with big people. If we do get her to join us, then what will we do with the people she has connections with? Madara looked over at Freed. If they get in the way, then we will just have to kill them. Freed smiled at that. I like the plan of that, boss. Madara pointed at Asia and Freed. I want the both of you to find the remaining 3 holy swords until we come back from our trip. The both of them nodded. Rainier put a hand on her hip and sighed. This will either end horribly or lovely, Rainier said with slight exhaustion. Madara stood up from his chair and grabbed his stuff for school. Get your stuff and let's go. School is about to start soon. Madara walked to the front door and opened it, leaving them behind. Oh, SHT, we better hurry up, Calawarner announced. All of them quickly grabbed their stuff and left the apartment. Scene break. Madara was in the middle of teaching class until a knock was heard on the door. Come in, Madara said as he looked at the door. The door opened up and Akino stepped in a little. No way. Akino is in our classroom. One of the boys said, but got hit over the head for cursing by Rainier. Akino smiled and looked at Madara. Mr. Uchiha, my president wants to speak with you after class. Madara only looked at her for a second before resuming class again. Did Mr. Uchiha just ignore Akino? A boy asked his friend. Yo, Mr. Uchiha is something else, man, and badass too. He's not like the other teachers when they see Akino or Rias, man. His friend said. Is he gay? His friend smacked him in the back of the head. You goddamn dumbass. He whispered loudly to him. Akino turned around and left the classroom, closing the door behind her. He truly is interesting, Rias. After class was finished, Madara made his way to the club room without his group. He made it to the club room door and opened it. Rias looked over at the door and Madara stepped in. Mr. Uchiha, it's wonderful to see you again. Please take a seat. Rias gestured to the couch. Madara didn't move from his spot. What do you want, princess? Rias calmed herself a little and spoke her mind out. My brother wants you to attend the Leaders' Summit next week during open house, Rias said. Madara smiled at this. You called me here just to tell me that? You must truly be a lazy woman who just orders her slaves around instead of doing some work yourself. They are not slaves, they are my friends and family. Rias yelled. Let them be whatever they want, I don't care whatsoever. As to what you said to me earlier, I will gladly join this Leaders' Summit that your brother asked me to join. Rias smiled a little. I will relay the message to him as quick as possible. Madara turned around and was about to leave, but stopped with his hand on the handle of the door. One more thing, make sure to tell him to never talk down on a god ever. Madara left the club room, leaving Rias slightly confused on his last message. Kaneko returned back to the club room with her natural facial expression. Something felt completely off when I passed Mr. Uchiha in the hallway earlier, Kaneko announced. Rias looked over at her with a confused look. Akino came out of the kitchen and listened on at what Kaneko was about to say. What felt off about him? Akino asked. Kaneko sat down on the couch and started eating cookies. When I passed him, he had a crazy smile over his lips. That wasn't the strange part though, I heard him whisper something like, Phase 2 will begin shortly. It didn't sound right. Rias brought a hand to her chin. Phase 2. I don't like the sound of that at all. Do you think he might attack the leaders at the summit? Akino asked. If he does, that would be stupid. I'll ask my brother to have more guards on that day, just be safe. Do you want me to spy on him? Kaneko asked. Rias shook her head. That won't be needed. Rias wasn't too sure on what he meant by Phase 2 at all. She was trying to think of a plan to trap him if he does do anything stupid at the summit next week. I think I might know a way to counter Mr. Uchiha if he does attack. Everyone looked at Rias with a surprised look. We are gonna have to get Gasper on this one if we are gonna try to stop Mr. Uchiha if he does do something stupid, Rias announced. Everyone was shocked to hear that they had to use Gasper on this one. Will it even work on him? He might actually be a god, Rias, and you know that Gasper's powers don't work on gods. Aquino asked. We still need to try just in case. You never know what could happen if you don't try it. Aquino had a worried look. I don't know, Rias, we could start a war if the other leaders take it the wrong way. You're right, Aquino, but we can't be for sure if Mr. Uchiha will try to attack the leaders at the summit, Rias said. You're forgetting something as well, Rias, he has fallen on his side and Issei. This would become a problem for us since he could have the entire fallen angel side with him and the Red Dragon Emperor. Aquino said with a stern look. Rias clenched her fist. DMN. This could really pose a problem then, huh? I'm gonna have a talk with Sona and see what she can think of. Aquino nodded her head and sat down on the couch. I will try to figure out Mr. Uchiha's plan through Issei in the meantime, Aquino said with a smile. Alright everyone, let's hurry before anything bad happens. Rias left the clubroom and went to go find Sona quickly. Scene break. Everyone in Madara's group was back at the apartment waiting for Madara's next orders. If I remember correctly, that stray said that we need to have some devil transport us to the forest, Madara said. Everyone looked at Issei. Oh hell no, I don't even know how to make a DMN magic circle, guys. Of course the failure can't do SHT on his own, Rainier said in disappointment. Fried put a hand on Issei's shoulder. Great teamwork, failure. How are we going to get to the forest if we don't have a skilled devil that can get us there? Asia asked. I can actually get us there. Calawarner stepped up. Rainier looked over at her and gave her the biggest confused look. How on earth can you get us there? Last time I checked, devils are the only ones who can go there, not angels, not fallen angels, and especially not humans. So please tell us, how can you get us there? Rainier asked. Well, in my free time, little Rainier, I took some time and studied a little of devil magic. What? When did you start doing this? Calawarner smiled. Before we even met. Madara smiled and stood up from his seat. Prepare the teleportation magic quickly, I'm gonna go get ready. Madara walked over to his room and started putting on his armor. I can't believe she hid this from me the entire time, Rainier whispered in anger. Why are you so mad, Yuma? Issei asked. Rainier turned towards him with an angry expression. It's Rainier, you failure, and why should I explain my problems to you? I'm just trying to help since I'm completely forgetting that you killed me. He rose his voice at the end a little. Rainier's facial expression changed to sorrowful, then to calm, then back to anger in a matter of seconds. Just shut up, failure. Issei shrugged his shoulders and moved on. Madara stepped out of his room and walked back into the living room wearing his fully repaired armor. Let us leave for to find this dragon. Calawarner finished up the magic circle and was ready to go. Madara walked over to the magic circle and stepped into it with Rainier doing the same. Issei was about to step into but was stopped. Listen, partner, are you sure you want to do this right now? Look here, Drake, if I back out now my butt is grass, man. Do you not see Mr. Uchiha's stance and composure? This man could probably destroy a boulder just by looking at it. Issei yelled mentally. If we survive this, I'm gonna smack talk you for the rest of your life, dumbass. Issei ignored him and stepped into the magic circle and disappeared with the others to the forest. I guess we better get going as well, Fried said as he looked over to Asia. Madara and his group appeared in a forest with trees all around them. They had no leaves on them and they looked burnt. Is this the familiar forest? Rainier asked as she looked around. It seems so, Calawarner said. Who dares enter this forest now? A man yelled as he jumped onto a tree branch. Madara crossed his arms and only moved his eyes to look at the newcomer. What do we have here? The man's eyes widened at the presence he was feeling. Fallen angels and a human has entered this forest. He yelled in shock. Madara smirked at his remark. Who are you? Madara asked the man. My name is Satuji and I'm the familiar MSTR. Now, who are you and what is a human doing here with fallen angels beside him? My name is Madara Uchiha and I have come here to find myself the dragon who lies dormant here in this forest. Satuji's eyes widened when he heard his name. I've heard of you. You are the one who killed Riser and half of his peerage, but that's not all. You are known as a god by some, but some think you're a foolish human who thinks he is one. Madara smirked again. Now, why is the great Madara Uchiha here? I came here to find someone. Are you looking for a familiar? If so, I can gladly help you with that, my friend. Satuji jumped down from the branch and landed beside Madara. What type of familiar are you looking for? Strong ones, smart ones, sexy ones. Name it and I will help you. Rainier moved her head towards Calawarner. This guy is seriously weird and he smells like SHT. She whispered. Calawarner scoffed and tried to hold her laughter in. Satuji looked towards the two fallens. To be frankly honest, I've never seen such beauty in my life. He said as he checked the girls out. What type of familiar are you looking for, ladies? I have only helped devils, but this is going to be new for me. Rainier and Calawarner gave him a dirty look. I have come here to find the Chaos Karma Dragon, Tiamat, Madara said nonchalantly. Satuji's facial expression changed from stuck to a scared and worried face. He was sweating all over his face. Why do you want to find her? He asked nervously. Well, he changed real quick, Calawarner said. I guess you can say that I want her as my familiar. Satuji jumped back on the tree branch and didn't look at them. I'm sorry, but I can't help you on this one. If you want to find her, just keep walking straight until you find this enormous cave, she will be there. Satuji quickly scattered away, not wanting to talk about her. Madara put his arms down and headed straight to go find this dragon. Madara kept his gaze forward while everyone else was looking around and seeing different types of familiars. As they were walking they came to a stop in an open field with a huge cave in front of them. Madara looked over at Issei and told him to summon his weapon. Issei stepped up and swallowed a little of his spit. He summoned his boosted gear and started to boost his powers. As he was doing this, two enormous blue eyes appeared in the cave and a dragon came out landing in front of them. dxdhighschool. Why have you come here? Is it that you want to die by me? Incredible, just incredible, hee, Madara said with a smile. Tiamat looked towards the person who said that. And what is a human doing here? I have come here to recruit you into my group. Having a strong ally like you on my side can change this world. Madara said. A human has come here to recruit me? You must be a bigger fool than I thought. This works out perfectly actually since I get to kill a stupid human, Drake, and those fallens. You have it all wrong, dragon, I'm not a human. I'm a god. Tiamat stared at Madara for a couple of seconds then laughed at his little title. Ha ha ha, you a god. You, humans, think you're everything in this world, but you're wrong. Mr. Uchiha, what do we do now? Issei asked. I told you dumbass we're so god DMNF. Drake said in fear. Madara had a sadistic smile. Then I must prove it to you as well since you don't believe me. Madara ran back and grabbed Issei by the shirt collar and jumped back towards the fallens. Madara turned around and looked at the huge blue western dragon in front of him. Make sure you all stay close, Madara said as his eyes turned into the Sharingan then into the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. What do you plan on doing? Rainier asked worriedly. We are gonna dance, Madara said with a smile as a humanoid Susanoo appeared over them. We're inside this creature. Calawarner asked in a surprised voice. Madara crossed his arms again. What is that? Tiamat asked. Madara didn't answer her as his Susanoo transformed into the perfect form Susanoo with everyone in the small pentagon of the Susanoo on the forehead. Holy SHT, you can see everything from up here, this power of a god is terrifying and it feels good. Rainier was amazed at the power her MSTR was giving off. I wonder dragon, what would happen if I destroyed the area around us in a single swing of my sword? Madara said. Tiamat got angry and flew towards Madara and tried to tackle him, but he held his ground and held her back. The Susanoo pushed Tiamat back a little and punched her in the face making her fall on her back. The Susanoo jumped into the air and landed on top of her, making her roar out in pain. What type of human are you? Like I said earlier, I am a god. The Susanoo grabbed Tiamat and threw her at her cave completely destroying it. Tiamat got really angry and flew up into the air. I'm gonna burn you alive until your whole body vanishes. She started charging her breath attack until it was fully charged up. My lord, we might be in serious trouble here, Calawarner said. Madara interlocked his fingers and sucked in some air while the Susanoo did the same. Fire style, majestic destroyer flame. A huge wave of fire shot out the Susanoo's mouth and headed towards Tiamat. Tiamat released her attack and a huge wave of blue fire hit Madara's attack making a huge explosion in the air. Tiamat landed back on the ground and charged at him again. The Susanoo backhanded her making her fall to the side. The Susanoo walked up to her, but Tiamat tail whipped him, making him stumble back. Tiamat got up and headbutt the Susanoo, putting a good crack in its chest. Madara didn't look impressed at all by this. I was expecting a good dance recital, but it seems that this one is boring as well, Madara said. You're starting to PSS me off even more human. The Susanoo winded up his fist and launched it forward colliding with Tiamat's fist, making a huge shockwave. The Susanoo immediately did a roundhouse kick and hit her across the head, making her fall to the ground. He pulled out his sword this time and pointed it at Tiamat's head. You have lost, surrender now and become my familiar and I will spare your life, Madara said. Tiamat growled for losing to a human, but she surrendered and the Susanoo disappeared making everyone fall the ground. Issei was screaming for his life, but Calawarner caught him and brought him down to the ground. Madara walked up to Tiamat with a smile. When he did this, Tiamat's body glowed and started to transform. Her body was getting smaller and smaller until the glow was gone. Standing in the dragon's place was a young appealing woman with long straight pale blue hair and dark blue eyes, she was wearing a navy blue skirt. She had huge tips as well with nice curves. Who are you? Madara asked. I am Tiamat, the Chaos Karma Dragon. You have defeated me in battle and I have accepted you as my MSTR now. Tiamat bowed before him. She has a human form. Rainier yelled in shock. Madara laughed. Let us return to the human world now, we have much to do. Madara put his hand out towards Tiamat and she grabbed it helping her up. I must stay here in the 4-. Madara cut her off. I don't think so, you are coming with me to the human world to help me on my journey. Tiamat was a little surprised at his words, but she accepted. Calawarner made another magic circle and they all left, returning to the human world. MSTR, what would you like me to do? You are the first to ever defeat me, let alone a human beat me and took me as their SLV. First off, just Lord will suffice and the second thing, is now that you have joined me, you are going to help me destroy the people who are in the way for true peace. Tiamat was confused on what he was saying. What do you mean? I am going to change this world from the ground up and make it a peaceful world, but there are some people who want to get in the way of my goal like that Devil King. Tiamat was surprised to hear him say, Devil King. Wait, who is it? It's Surzex Lucifer. Rainier butted in. If you're thinking of killing him, then that's impossible. You know Tiamat, the MSTR has killed Riser Phoenix and Kokobile. He has 4 holy swords in his possession and has defeated you. Let's not forget that he might have Azazel on his side as well. Rainier said. Tiamat's eyes widened a little, she looked over at Madara and thought on what Rainier said to her. Can I ask you something? Madara just stayed quiet. What do you mean by true peace? The MSTR wants to destroy the evil in this world and make a world of peace. He doesn't want wars or battles, just peace, Calawarner answered for him. How will you even accomplish such a thing, when you know that there will always be small battles or another war? Peace can't last forever, it's bound to break. Said Tiamat. In order to gain world peace, you must have the people trust and follow you wherever you go. If you can't remove the evil or protect the lives of the innocent in this cursed world, then why do all of you fight for peace? Madara asked. Tiamat raised her finger in the air. It's simple, we want to stop this endless bloodshed and move on. Madara smirked at her answer. Wrong, when you all achieve peace the next thing you will all do is go after the enemies who don't want peace and that isn't true peace. Yes, so we don't have to worry about sleeping with one eye opened every time. After this pointless peace meeting with the factions, they will all focus their attention on the other enemies while still using humans to fight for their gain. That type of world is not peaceful, but one of slavery. I will rid this world of people like that in order to truly have peace, such as that worthless devil king. Madara said. Tiamat looked at him with her eyes widened a little. Who are you? She asked. I am Madara Uchiha and I will become the savior of this cursed world. Tiamat's eyes widened even more at hearing his name. I can't believe I'm serving the god himself, Tiamat said with a smile saying I truly accept you as my MSTR. You're one of the people who believe that he is actually a god. Issei asked. Of course I am, who has heard of anyone killing Riser Phoenix? If he killed Kokobile and took 4 of the holy swords, then I believe that this man in front of us is a god. Tiamat said. And besides, I only heard rumors of him but never met him in person until now. Rainier and Calawarner looked at their new member and saw how she was looking at their MSTR with those lustful eyes. The both of them looked at each other and knew exactly what they were saying. Oh hell no. The both of them said mentally. Madara smiled and looked up at the moon. Now, let us begin the destruction of true evil and create this world of peace. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 5. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Liquid's Wrath on fanfiction.net. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.